People, Manchester City 3, Arsenal 1. It's the morning after. Deluded, I'm back again. So, as you look now, I like to watch games again. I'll typically watch games twice, 3 times to just give myself more insight. So I thought, let me talk about what I saw tactically from the team. We'll touch on everything. We've got a lot to get through. So, yeah, I'm sure you've all got your own opinions. Before we crack on, I'm going to do something a bit differently. I'm going to look at the goals first and foremost, because for me, I couldn't understand. Don't get me wrong, there's no shame in losing to this Manchester City side. There's no shame in being cut open by this Manchester City side. They're not even a couple of levels above us, as we know. There's several levels, technically, tactically, in terms of players. And I'm not even talking about, we know they've got some world-class, top-class players. I'm not even talking about that. It's irrelevant, in fact. It's how they look at it, how they start games, how they end it, their game management, different. You see what I'm saying? Young and old, especially. The goals we conceded are shocking, to be honest with you. Very shocking goals. Let's talk about the first. Now, you can see above people. I'm not even going to waste my breath too tough on Mustafi, because as you saw, everybody's offside if he moves out of there. He's the only one not clearing his line. He's stuck to the ball. And for someone that said when Unai Emery came into the club, he feels better, he's improving, he's taught him better tactically, I can't understand it. He's playing everybody onside. If he moves, and the same City move happens, like you saw for one of their free kicks, I believe, it'll be more ruled as offside. Mustafi, I don't know what he's doing. There's ball watching, and then they're just being a complete idiot, and that's what he's doing. And it's got to the point with Mustafi now. If Unai Emery keeps playing him, again, I'm not blaming Unai Emery for this, but if it's got to a case where if he keeps playing him and he's making mistakes similar to Lichtsteiner, I'm not even looking at these players anymore. I'm looking at you, because yes, we're pressed in terms of bodies and stuff, but they're just letting us down time and time again. And even if you don't rate Mustafi, which I don't, he is a World Cup winner. He should be one of the most switched on individuals within that side, and he's not. Away from him, obviously, we were failing to clear our lines. Guendouzi plays a pass to Iwobi. Our mistake is that when the ball goes to Iwobi here, just summarising, if this was more players, obviously, we've moved out of our box or whatever and cleared our lines. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But Iwobi's dilly-dallying on the ball. I don't know what he's doing. He looked all nervous all game. He's dispossessed. They put the ball in. I think it's Laporte or Sterling. One of them. It don't really matter at this point. But just before I carry on with the breakdown of that goal, Sergio, he is one of the best players in the league, just in terms of striking. One of the best players the Premier League's ever seen. All week, Unai Emery claims to be watching all these vids. I can't see the improvement, but you've got to have known about. You don't even have to watch vids. You know who Sergio is. You know what he's about. Mustafi, how many times has he stressed you out and with the high line and stuff? Koscielny, you know damn well who he is. They know about him. They know the movement is one of his best things. There's not too many strikers better than him in terms of movement in the world. In fact, probably Cavani in terms of movement, and obviously you got Messi and that, but excluding them, what are we doing? This is an elite striker. You cannot do these sort of things. You could see him. Go and look at least 2 of the goals he's involved in the build-up. You could see the run, and Monreal, I was actually looking at Monreal and Koscielny because Mustafi was a lost cause at this point. But you could see him making this run, and you're thinking, who's really proactive and can see this? Obviously, the ball gets to here when Lichtsteiner and Iwobi, well, that's Mustafi, but Lichtsteiner and Iwobi, between the two, are being doubled up against with Laporte and Sterling. Ball eventually comes in. All Sergio does is get between them and follow his run, and pull it in the back of the net. That was the case of all 3 of the goals, in fact, in my opinion, from a City perspective. What have I done this for the second goal now? The second goal. Obviously, again, Koscielny, Monreal's caught all up here and that. The second goal is under similar circumstances, but again, Sergio gets in between. I'm summarising at this point, people, but again, Sergio gets in between, and he has an empty net. These are not hard goals, man. And the last one, which was really jarring as well, I don't know what Lichtsteiner was doing. I don't know what Iwobi was doing, but cool. I'm sure they were doing something. It's too easy at this point by them. Don't let me run out of these. Oh, apologies, people. You guys know I didn't plan that. Need to pick that up. Oh, apologies, people. And the last goal, people, the less said on it, the better, innit? I can't understand it. This is where it comes down to being proactive as footballers. Being proactive. Now, Monreal's done all right at this point, but I feel he's switched off. Obviously, there's a bit of a kerfuffle. The ball's gone out. I think Iwobi's beaten too easily. Lichtsteiner's doing whatever he's doing. They're doubled up against. If you remember rightly, you obviously saw Lichtsteiner getting sucked in. And Mustafi was caught ball watching. Koscielny and Monreal actually the ones who annoyed me the most. Now, Mustafi should fix up, and Lichtsteiner gets the majority of the blame for this, along with Iwobi, because he failed to track back in time. But again, he gets in between them and he has an empty net. Monreal, you can see the whole thing developing and he actually gets back in. I'm more annoyed with Koscielny because on a couple of occasions this season, you've seen it. Koscielny can see the man. Go and look at the goal. In fact, I even put it on my Twitter. Koscielny's got his hands out. You know what centre-halves do? I don't even know why centre-halves do that, but he's got his hands out. He is aware of him. He's caught ball watching. Whether Koscielny has the body or the legs to be able to get there is another story. But he's caught ball watching. They pull it in the back of the net. Now, for our goal, the one thing that probably went right for us, obviously, it was more so Manchester City's mistake. Obviously, we hit them. I feel Otamendi's made 2 errors. I don't know what he's doing, trying to hoof it into the air, and then he does some next poor clearance, or whatever he's attempting to do there. Edison and Walker obviously mop up his mess. We then put in a lovely set piece with Torreira. Obviously, Monreal kept it alive and Koscielny put it in the back of the net. The one good thing you could probably say. The second goal, we was cut open in 16 passes. Also, 13, 14, 15, 16 passes. I lost count, but it started off in their own half. It was actually a lovely play. You saw Sergio get involved. You saw everybody get involved, and it was a lovely goal. But from our perspective, you could see it developing. I feel we shot ourselves in the foot. Essentially, we didn't help us in any stretch of the imagination, man. Really and truly. I feel I don't know how to feel about Unai Emery's tactics, because I do. You guys know I'll keep it fair. Sometimes I feel his tactics have been negative, and you could say that was the case. We'll get onto it, but you could say this was the case in this game. 2 banks of 4-4-4-2. Lichtsteiner. I mean, not Lichtsteiner. We obviously know Kohler's strengths are more going forward, but he's essentially a left back or full back, playing in the left mid position. In theory, gives us his offensive stuff and helps out Monreal defensively. I get it. There was the strikers had a lot to work as well. 10 men, 11 men behind the ball. So I get it. I feel personally, if we look at it, I wouldn't blame Unai Emery. Obviously, he picks the team, but I feel it's experienced individuals let him down. And Lichtsteiner doing his nonsense. Iwobi, who he's put a lot of faith in, and he's actually had a decent season, but the last couple of games needs to pick it up, let him down. Experienced individual. Mustafi's a World Cup winner. I don't know what he's doing. I actually feel Koscielny had a better game first time round. Looking at it again, he still had a decent game, but it was a bit of a calamity. So I don't think Unai Emery can mitigate for these silly individual defensive errors. But by the same token, again, he's picking the players. By the same token, I don't feel, definitely against City, that you can really sit against them 11, 10 men behind the ball and not expect to do anything. We didn't really create anything, especially in the second half. Now again, he's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because people would sit here and say, if we lost, and he was attacking, why did we fling forward? If he was defensively, like you could say he was, why did we defend too much? So there's no pleasing it. If we keep it as non-biased as possible, probably it's one of the best 3-1 defeats or defeats against City we've taken on the chin, innit, people? But possibly could have. You never know until you have more of a chance. I did feel we could have had more of a goal in the game. We did have more of a goal in stages, but I do feel we could have set out from the off to do that, especially City, because there were times City kind of looked nervous. I mean, how nervous can you be playing against Arsenal knowing you're going to win? But we could not deal with the interchanging movement. I'll do the thing in a bit, but we really and truly couldn't deal with the interchanging movement of their players. Sergio, and all of these players there, we really couldn't. In fact, I think I have it drawn up on the whiteboard, but if I can, you lot know, I know you lot like the tactics board. Some people hate on it, but I know you lot like this one in it. So I feel the movement of Silva, Sterling, and them man there that were pressing up front, even Kevin at times, it was confusing. It didn't help us at all, people, because obviously, what did you saw us? You actually even saw Sergio at a point. Sergio was out there. Sterling was swapping. Bernardo was swapping. Silva and what's his face? Gundogan and Kevin and Silva. They were deep. They were pressing as a forward. They were into swapping. People were coming deep. We couldn't deal with it. It was putting us at 6s and 7s. And another thing as well, if I remove these lot and just focus on Manchester City's wingers, in fact, temporarily, if I temporarily remove these midfielders now, and I just focus on the fullbacks, this is what I liked, people, and this is where I think we lost it. We lost the game as well. I'll just pull it on this side. Obviously, you had our four defenders, right, people? I feel Sterling and Bernardo, they made lovely runs. Sterling had the left-hand side on lock. Bernardo was more coming inside here and there. But they were starting their runs from deep. And they were showing a willingness, even if the other one had the ball, to get in behind us. Now, obviously, if we're getting in behind, our players have a decision to make. And where their players better than us is obviously our players in Iwobi and Kola to a degree failed to track back. Now, I'll get onto it, but we had our strikers, but they failed to track back. They failed to track back and really and truly assist. Obviously, if you fail to track back people and there's two on each side, you're going to get doubled up against. How many times did you see that? Monreal was having to come deep like this and they was exploiting the space, people. And away from all of that, obviously, what do you see here, people? You see gaps in midfield. Gaps for Kevin. Gaps for David Silva. Gaps for Gundogan. Even saw Fernandinho coming up. And is it a surprise when obviously the wingers have done that? And if we pretend this is Sergio for a sec, Sergio is able to glance through and have a lot of space. And obviously, if they're doing all of this and they're squeezing up the field and stuff, if we pretend these are our midfielders, I feel Torreira and Guendouzi had a good game, but you can see they're outnumbered, didn't it, people? It doesn't matter how good you are. Football is not a hard game. It's complicated by idiots. Of course, in hindsight, it's easy to sit here and say what I'm saying, but you get the point. Yes, we were outdone tactically. Yes, they're better technically than us, but we shot ourselves in the foot, essentially. And as well, on the topic of midfield as well, I don't know why that paper dropped. I think I've shown you this essentially. But like you saw, you've got Sterling with the S, Silva over there. I think I spelled Silva wrong, my guys. But you could see it. You could see us being pegged in, people. You could, apology, let me move right over for you lot. You could see us being pegged in. Now, obviously, they had, I didn't even do our strikers. How have I got 4-4-2 but no strikers? Wait. They are our strikers. LT's meant to be there. Matteo, put an M there. That's my guy. Oba. I'll put just an L, man. I'm left-handed, people. I ain't got no right hand, but this was us on a football pitch, 4-4-2. Again, on the topic of Unai Emery, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but at least he's got a way of playing, something that they clearly worked on in training and them things there, people. Yeah, it is 4-4-2, yeah. Yeah, it is 4-4-2. You obviously had Kola. That's not okay. I'm right-handed. Allow me, people. But, I mean, I'm left-handed, but that's Kola. Yeah. Obviously, there was a tactic. There was a way of playing. Where I think we went wrong as well is because we were probably a bit too defensive. Obviously, we had Lacazette and Aubameyang. They knew today was just a game where they're gonna have to drop deep and help our midfield. We know City's midfield are gonna take hold of the game. They're gonna come up into this space and overcrowd us out and things like that. So we needed our two men to help us, especially Lacazette, to come in and make an extra man, and they did that. But one thing that kind of catch-22 with them doing that, what did you see? Fernandinho's playing at centre half. He got up there. He joined the midfield. Obviously, then they had 4 or something in midfield. If we pretend that this green one is Fernandinho, that's 4 or 5 players in midfield if these wingers are starting their runs from deep. Now, it's no coincidence how we were pegged in our own half. Now you can see how it's no coincidence, better yet, how we was pegged in our own half, how we couldn't get out, how there was no outball for these men in possession. And several times, not to praise Mustafi, but he was just forcing it long and it was coming back on top of us. So you can see how we're going against it because they really didn't have much to do in an offensive sense. We were out in terms of how they beat us. Their fullbacks and wingers, more essentially, their wingers provided a lot of space, a lot of runs that created a lot of space for their midfielders to exploit and make late runs. We failed to watch Sergio Aguero in short, people. I mean, all of his goals were great goals from a Sergio Aguero perspective, but you could see the whole thing. We obviously shot ourselves in the foot. I think we had a bit of an inferior complex. First 15 was very tough, very, very rigid in terms of how we were trying to play. We were a bit scared and things like that, and still got a lot of mental issues to get over in them regards there. But we just couldn't cope, man. We just couldn't cope. I feel sorry for the two strikers, Aubameyang and Lacazette. At the end of the day, it's another big game where neither did anything, but it's none of their fault. We're not trying to create anything and stuff like that. If we can't create anything, how can they get onto the ball? And I think both of them knew or were told by the manager, listen, this is a game where you two are just going to press for us. You two are just going to have to work, and they did it. I feel sorry for Torreira and Guendouzi because I feel they had good games, but ultimately, if their fullbacks are becoming narrow, if you've got centre halves from City pushing into midfield, and you've obviously got their attacking mid players already, you're outnumbered. So I felt sorry for them. I really did. We can look at creativity, and obviously people will say Ozil and Ramsey and things. Personally, I would have started Ramsey. I feel Iwobi was poor. Iwobi had a poor game. I'm actually not annoyed about the mistake. Of course, I'm annoyed that he made the mistake and it happened so early in the game, 48 seconds. I'm more annoyed in his reluctance to kind of help the team. And both wingers really annoyed me in that regards, man. Because I feel Kohler actually had a decent game. Obviously, his pressing or whatever being just trying to make the opposition nervous, forced Kyle Walker or Edison or whoever it was to concede the corner. But for me, they weren't helping. They weren't helping us because we're supposed to be a 4-4-2. The whole point is 2 banks of 4, rigid, remain compact and things like that, and not allow them any space. That is great, people. That is great. We're supposed to be like this, yeah, people. In theory, papers are just dropping everywhere. We're supposed to be like that in theory, people, yeah. This is what I was seeing on a more of a thingy basis. And I'll put the City players in now. Make it a bit more. You had the City, and then you had Laporte and Sterling. I felt this was the case, man, and I can't understand it with. I can see why with Iwobi, but I can't understand it with Kohler. I can't understand it. Like I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. Now, obviously, people. Now, this is the shape I was more seeing now, and you can see how there's issues. Let me pick it up. My blue's running out. Now we've got our 4-4-2. Our 2 banks of 4. You've got the City players in blue on either side. Admittedly, that one wasn't drawn as good, but this is what I'm seeing now. Iwobi and Kohler, their job is to get out there and stop the fullback from trying to play the passes, and if they're not going to do that, kind of do their bit to press Manchester City's back line to not allow certain passes. And if they're not going to do that, they have to track back and double up, especially in Lichtsteiner's case, because no disrespect, the guy's of pensioner age in terms of football. You saw it. He's physically unable to get up and down the pitch. He's physically unable to provide any sort of threat to a winger. And what annoys me about him is he was over recovering. And when he does engage or try to close down, he's not engaging. So Sterling had him on toast. Iwobi and Kohler have to get back and help, and they did do it in incidences, but far often than not, I'm seeing Iwobi get sucked in narrow. Kohler, more of a main culprit. Kohler getting sucked in narrow, and that didn't help us because this allows them to constantly get at us. How many times did Monreal, was he stuck between staying intact positional wise or engaging, because Kohler and that were getting sucked in field and becoming far too narrow. Neither Kohler nor Iwobi are gonna press the other team really out of possession and stuff. So them being out of possession just enables City to get a bigger foothold. Because think about it, people. If they're allowed to come up the pitch because of our people not doing our jobs, and the guys in blue can come up the pitch further, the fullbacks are higher. That means, if the fullbacks are higher and stuff like that, and the midfielders there, this typically means that City have a foothold on the game. So what does our strikers have to do? Our strikers have to drop. So what are you going to see if our strikers dropped? Especially in Manchester City side. You're going to see Fernandinho say, all right, cool, I'm going in midfield. Laporte was going up and down, but he became a bit narrow. Who else was there? Otamendi decided to go into midfield. Then when you add together that you already had in midfield, you already had Bernardo. You already had, not Bernardo, Bernardo's over there. You already had David Silva. You already had Kevin De Bruyne. You already had Gundogan. You can see it. We're outnumbered in midfield. A lot of people. It's not the best of drawings, but all you got to do is look at the blue shirts, or what I've said are blue shirts and the red ones. You can see us outnumbered. So then again, it doesn't matter how good Torreira or Guendouzi are. They're outnumbered. The football is not an hard game. Sorry, it's just complicated by idiots and people who just can't understand certain things. Like it really was jarring. And on the topic of the long balls from Mustafi, I can't understand why he kept doing it. We're clearly outnumbered. Aubameyang and Lacazette have no service. I get it. There's no creativity in the side, or there's no one trying to do something in that regards. But you're just kicking it back. That City side were putting us under enormous pressure time and time again. So when you do get possession, you've got to try something or try to hold on to it and try not to be a coward. There's no point booting it back. We've got no Aubameyang and Lacazette. Aubameyang's got pace, so if you were going to boot him and find him, then cool. But it's just coming back to us. Aubameyang and Lacazette are in our own half. Edison has nothing to do. They're playing a high line already, so it's just going to increase the pressure on us. I mean, I understand these sort of things. My football knowledge is nowhere near the level of these players, because no matter how much I think I know football, these players have played the game. They've seen some things I won't see. But I can't understand how they can't see these things. I was seeing these things in Sunday League. How can they not see these things? And yeah, man, like I said, it's got to the point where, again, Mustafi, I'm looking at Mustafi in particular. The likes of Mustafi and Lichtsteiner, if Unai Emery plays them, being pressed to play them because of bodies or not, it's his fault if they mess up now. Because you're looking at it, I know a lot of people love Vontae Daly-Campbell, and I do too, but we need to be easy. He's 17 years of age. He couldn't have done any worse than Lichtsteiner. Zach Medley as well. I rate him a lot, but I don't rate him as much as our fans, to be honest, because I get to see him a bit more. I like him, but I feel his strengths currently are bringing the ball out and not necessarily defensive. If he can marry the two together, he's a quality player. But the likes of him, them two that I've said, Mavropanos, it's time to just blood them, because I'm at the point now where at least these lot, they will probably make mistakes and get ripped, but at least you would see some encouraging signs defensively that they're trying to do the right things. A mistake made more than once is a choice. Mustafi has been making these choices. There's no shame in admitting Mustafi's a dud. We can all see it. At the start of his career when we signed him for big money. Obviously, his profile gave us a bit of hope. We took our time with him. He actually, even this season, he's actually had decent periods, and he showed us initially periods of promise, but it hasn't been there. It's not the aggressive, combative centre-half we want, and he's just, I don't know what it is. I don't want to call someone brainless and make personal comments like that, but some of them decisions are brainless. I didn't even think Mustafi played. I know he played appalling, but my blame was mainly with Iwobi and Lichtsteiner watching the game first time round. But Mustafi, the way Mustafi was going on, and he's just no awareness, the way Koscielny and Monreal are letting midfielders get the run on them and just letting people get in between them is poor. Unai Emery's game plan, I would say it was negative. I do feel you can't do these sort of things in the Prem. You can't sit for 90 minutes. It's definitely against the City's team. You were damned if you do, damned if you don't, like I said. But I don't feel he was helped out by his game plan, to be honest. And at least, on one hand, I might not have agreed, but I like to see a manager with at least a clear way of playing, or what he's been attempting to do. I feel he was let down by individuals, and more experienced individuals, to be honest with you. And Lichtsteiner, I must admit, I don't know how many times Unai Emery has to see that he's letting him down. I mean, he almost got destroyed against Blackpool. Got destroyed today. Liverpool dealt with him. I'm so sure he played against Cardiff, and Cardiff had their joy with him. Again, I'm not trying to make personal comments. Lichtsteiner, I'm sure off the field he's a good voice and things like that, but on it, he's not. Maitland-Niles is not a fullback. Maitland-Niles probably would have made them exact same mistakes, but I'd rather have Maitland-Niles, because I can't understand how senior professionals are doing this. Yeah, there's a debate to be had about should we be a bit more offensive and things like that in games like this, or just at least until the season, because we can't defend anyways. But that's for another day, man. I feel in short we lost this game because of how we started it. We lost this game. Obviously, we didn't help ourselves. Defeative attitude, game management, seeing the second goal conceded shortly before half-time. Second half, we were fatigued and battered essentially because of the running. I don't know why that's the case. We were chasing a lot of shadows, but we didn't really create anything. Like I've said, silly individuals let us down. I feel their wingers exploited our fullbacks very well, and more important than that, I feel their central midfielders exploited the space left by our players following their players, and their space created as a result of the havoc the wingers were causing. People were able to exploit that very well, man. I think City, well, not even what I think, is a fact. City tactically outdone us, man. And it's mad because despite all of this, it's one of our better performances in a game like this. I don't know whether to laugh or cry, man. Like I said, I have sympathy for a couple of players, but that's as far as it ends, man. We were cut open. The second goal, I can't lie, Manchester City, I got a clap for you lot, man. It was poor from an Arsenal point of view, but it was a terrific move, that second goal, man. I think not everybody touched the ball, but it's essentially from their own half. They've cut us open with a lovely ball forward. It's a lovely ball, man. To be honest with you, I mean, we're just giving the ball away sillily. Like, I think it took 16 seconds or so for either Koscielny or Mustafi to give the ball away initially. Like, go and look at kickoff, essentially. Man, one of them centre-halves tries a long ball. Like, I don't know why they were trying that, because I can't understand it. We've got Aubameyang with pace. We're not playing to his strengths. Clearly, we're not playing to his strengths, and it's commendable that he's got 15 goals this season. But why are you looking for long balls? It's a game where City are flooding that midfield. City have how many men to Aubameyang by himself with Lacazette? Stop kicking it forward. Games like this, you have to be brave. And I'm not talking people dribbling past 10 players. I'm talking people keep a cool head, not pass on responsibility to other players. And I feel nobody did that. We shot ourselves in the foot. Must admit, watching the game again, I know Leno made some good saves as well, and I'm not attributing any blame to Leno, but I do think there's an issue in regards to our back 5 or 4 just damn right communication, because we're conceding too many silly goals, to be honest, cheap goals. And yeah, man, the statistics are there with our lack of away wins, essentially, with us failing to get set. Just go on Albino's Twitter account, man. That guy does a very good analysis of Arsenal statistics, man, and it's pretty damning the amount of statistics he's found out. But in regards to Arsenal versus Manchester City 3, Arsenal 1, that's my tactical analysis, or what I've looked at from a tactical point of view. People, thank you for watching and them things. If you've got anything to add, comment, subscribe, you know what it is. But for now, DG, I'm out. And yeah, man, hopefully Huddersfield brings through some more positive feedback or something like that. But for now, DG.